Coach, conference plays here, 1 win, 1 loss, 2 gritty performances. You guys came out on top back home here against Tarleton. If you could just share your thoughts on this first weekend of play.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little worried, with our first 2 games being these 2 first games. All 3 of us play very similar styles, and I was a little worried that playing them back-to-back like that, that maybe game 2 we wouldn't quite have the energy, and so after we dropped the first one at SFA, I was really nervous about, we're driving all the way back, for a home game. Tarleton staying at home, heck, they'd be dabbling before we are, and so I was just nervous that maybe we wouldn't have the energy that we would need for Saturday, but the guys proved me wrong, man. They really came out and they played aggressive, and they had the energy they needed. I think we led for the majority of the game, but it was a good weekend. To split, opening weekend, pretty much every home team won, with the exception of just 1 or 2 games throughout the weekend, and so we competed on the road against a really good team, and we came home and we beat a really good team.
When you look at this mix of starting lineups that we've seen just this season, just trying to find the right fit, do you feel like it's just going to continue to change depending on the opponent you face?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've kind of figured out our rotation. It's just going to be how do we start, the first half, how do we start the second half. We almost didn't start the second half the other night the same way we started the game. Not because of anybody not doing something well, but because other guys were actually doing really well. And so I think this is just one of those teams where we've got to constantly change, and we talked about that on Friday in between the 2 games, is that a change is something we have to accept and we have to embrace. If we're going to have a chance to be good. And I think that our guys are bought into that. I took Tobias Cameron out of the starting lineup. He's one of our best players. So it had nothing to do with Tobias. It had to do with Tarleton and really pressuring us. And then you sit there and you watch Ali on Thursday against that pressure and how easily he can get to the basket and do some things. And so it was just, in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, well, we need that to start the game. And so that's why I started Ali. I would imagine you'll see Tobias back in the starting lineup, sooner rather than later.
I know Manny was banged up a little bit week and a half, 2 weeks ago, got back into the rotation. How's everyone doing health-wise?
Yeah, we're just kind of recovering still, and it didn't help that we had these 2 games to start, you know what I mean? And so just 2 physical games, but we have 5 or 6 guys that are kind of just on the mend, but that's typical for everybody across the country this time of year, especially if you play the way that we do, and I think that's where depth helps you. And so we're going to play with depth no matter what, whether guys are ready or not. We're gonna continue. We're gonna play 9-10 guys. Try to. We played Leo the other night, who hadn't played a minute, because I thought that his physicality could maybe help us, and it did. He went in there, he got a quick basket, but more importantly, what he did on defense, which is what people don't notice, he gave us a spell of about 3 minutes where we really needed a stop in the paint, and he did that for us. And so I think we've got depth, but it's just different people, different times.
Home stretch. You guys had a home game. You have 2 more home games this week, back to back. Though you only have a day off, I think. You got Sam Houston, UT Arlington.
So we're on a bye this week.
That's right. Yep. Bye this week. Before we get to more games ahead, just how do you plan on utilizing this time off?
Yeah, you never like having a bye this early, but I think that it actually the timing's pretty good for us in a weird way because of the 2 games we just played. We just played 2 knockdown, drag out, street fight kind of games, and so we kind of need this week to recover, to rest and recover and heal, and so I think that normally I would never want to bye this early. You kind of want it right between January and February if you can get it. But I think the timing is good for us. So, we'll practice today, and then we'll take another day off just to kind of let them recover again and get some treatment, and then we'll lock in on Wednesday for Southern Utah.
Coach, it seems like the free throw line, that's what something you guys wanted to improve on, especially throughout this season. It kind of happened with Tarleton. What was that difference between SFA and Tarleton?
We got there. Against SFA, we didn't get there. And the percentages, they are what they are. I think, we talked a lot on Friday about, at SFA, we wanted to attack them. We didn't want to play backwards, and I think that we played backwards. And what I mean, we didn't get to the free throw line. We only shot 11 of them to their 25 or 26 of them. And that had nothing to do with the officiating. It was the foul count was actually pretty even. It was the fact that all of our fouls were happening out here and all their fouls were happening, in the paint. So they got free throw opportunities, and so I thought we did that. Yeah, we go Tarleton on Saturday. We attacked, and we got downhill. We got to the rim. We didn't play backwards. We played forwards, and I think all of a sudden you see us. We made more free throws than they shot. And again, if you're on Tarleton's side, you think, well, maybe the foul count was pretty even. It was, again, we were playing forwards instead of backwards, and so it's not really. Do you shoot 90% as a team? Do you shoot 50% as a team? It's just getting there. How many times can you get there and get an opportunity for free points? And I think that was a difference in the two games. If we could have done that Thursday, we win the game.
And you also mentioned, like, in previous weeks before, like, the teams, the players, they're out there. It's not just about putting as many points up, but also it's just one of that teams that you're kind of having a hard time to kind of rotate and get everyone out. But that's something you guys do special. How has it been just trying to make sure that you get those players in and out, but also keep it up and putting points on the board?
Yeah, I think it's every night we're gonna, because we do play a lot of bodies. Sometimes it's easier when you only play 6 or 7. You get those guys stay out there, they work through. But we're gonna play bodies. Just the style that we play, I don't think you can play 6 or 7 for 40 minutes and then every single night. But each night we have to take about 5 to 8 minutes before the 8-minute mark. The second media, which is the 12-minute mark, we have played pretty much 9 guys. And the reason we do that is because, hey, who's playing well tonight? And then who can we get? Last couple games it's been Ali. Before nights has been Manny. There's nights it's been Tobias. Thursday night Tobias wasn't playing real well. Saturday night he was, and so we figured that out, and then that's kind of where we go. And you see us in the second half, we tighten it up a little bit. But I do think that's something special about this team is that it could be anybody on any given night. I think that's really hard for our opponents to figure out how do you prepare. And I was talking to a coach in our league that was talking about that. He's like, man, we talked about, normally we talk about 1 or 2 guys for each team that we have to stop. And he's like, with you, we talked about 8, because we don't know. And I think that makes it pretty special for us.
We feel like it's the biggest difference between non-conference play and conference play.
The intensity, we played teams just as good as SFA and Tarleton in the non-conference, but the pressure's not there, and so there's the intensity level's a little lower. I think you play Cal State Bakersfield, Northern Arizona, Wright State, Weber State, UC Riverside. Those are all teams that would do really well in the WAC. But the game's different. Like you just play, there's not as much pressure. And I think as soon as you step on that floor at SFA last Thursday, you can feel the intensity rise, not just for us, but for them. Your crowds get bigger. Why? Because there's something riding on the game. I thought it would be empty in here the other night, New Year's Eve. TCU's kicking off same time we're tipping off, and I was pleased with the crowd. Just because of the day that it was on. And I think that you'll see as we move forward here, the crowds are going to grow and grow and grow. It's because it matters, Not that the non-conference games don't matter, but, it's, you feel a little different even when you lose on Thursday. Now it matters, it counts. We're on 1. And so I think that's the whole key, is just the intensity because of what's riding on every single game.